Commander Vexlar of the Galactic Coalition frigate Harmonious Dawn stared at the tactical display with mounting horror. His 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a telltale sign of Kthari panic. The pirate fleet had them surrounded, 12 heavily armed vessels against his single science ship. "Send the distress beacon on all frequencies," Vexlar commanded, his translator rendering his chittering voice into standard galactic. "Any coalition forces within range, we need immediate assistance." His communications officer, a gelatinous mervan named Glorp, pulsated with uncertainty. "Commander, the nearest coalition fleet is 4 cycles away. We have perhaps 1 cycle before our shields fail." Vexlar's antennae drooped. 1 cycle. Not enough time. The pirates were closing in, their weapons charging for the kill. His crew of 37 scientists and explorers would die here, far from their homeworlds, their research lost to the void. Then Glorp made an unusual sound. Something between a gurgle and a gasp. "Commander. We're receiving a response. But, it's not coalition. Pirates trying to mock us?" Vexlar asked bitterly. "No, sir. The signature says Terran." Every being on the bridge froze. Terran. Human. The species from the Deathworld that had only joined the Coalition 3 standard years ago. The species that everyone whispered about in station cantinas, the ones who came from a planet so hostile that merely describing its conditions caused most civilized beings to faint. "What do they say?" Vexlar asked. "Just 2 words, Commander, hold tight." Captain James Martinez stood on the bridge of the TCSS Relentless, a broad smile crossing his weathered face. His crew called him Old Iron behind his back, a nickname he'd earned during the Proxima conflict. At 52, he was one of the oldest active starship commanders in the Terran Coalition Space Service. "How many hostiles, Lieutenant Hayes?" he asked his tactical officer. 12 ships, Captain. Looks like Kresh pirate clans. Our database says they're using plasma cannons and fusion torpedoes." Lieutenant Sarah Hayes looked up from her console, her dark eyes gleaming with anticipation. "The Coalition ship is a Kthari science vessel. Light shields, no real weapons." Martinez nodded slowly. "Time to intercept." 3 minutes at current velocity, sir. "Helm, take us in. Full combat speed. Let's show these pirates why you don't mess with Coalition vessels in our patrol sector." The Relentless surged forward, its fusion engines pushing the destroyer to velocities that would have pulverized any non-human crew. The artificial gravity compensators strained to keep the bridge crew from being turned into paste, but every human aboard had trained for this. Their bodies, evolved on a high-gravity death world, could endure forces that would kill most sentient species. "Captain," Hayes called out, "the pirates are hailing us. They're laughing. They say 1 Terran ship against 12 is suicide." Martinez's smile widened. "Tell them we're not locked in here with them. They're locked in here with us. Then cut communications and go weapons hot." The Relentless hit the pirate formation like a meteor through tissue paper. Vexlar watched his sensors in disbelief as the human ship did something no sane commander would attempt. It accelerated directly into the densest cluster of enemy vessels, rolling and weaving through space in patterns that seemed to defy physics. "How are they moving like that?" his navigator gasped. The G-forces alone should have liquefied their internal organs. The human ship opened fire. Rail guns. Primitive kinetic weapons that most species had abandoned millennia ago, spat streams of tungsten projectiles at relativistic speeds. The first pirate ship's shields collapsed instantly, its hull torn apart by the sheer kinetic energy. Debris scattered across the void. "They're using slug throwers." Vexlar couldn't believe it. Against shielded vessels. But the evidence was undeniable. The human weapons, firing solid metal at insane velocities, simply punched through energy shields as if they weren't there. The pirates scattered, trying to gain distance, but the Relentless was faster, more maneuverable, and utterly relentless in its assault. A second pirate ship exploded. Then a third. "They're using missile salvos now," Glorp announced. 20, 40, 60 missiles inbound on the human vessel. The Relentless didn't try to outrun them. Instead, it dove toward the nearest pirate ship, using the larger vessel as cover. The missiles, unable to distinguish friend from foe in the chaos, slammed into the pirates' shields. Half the swarm detonated uselessly. The other half was picked off by point defense lasers that fired with inhuman precision. No, Vexlar corrected himself. With human precision. Which was apparently far more deadly. 8 minutes after the engagement began, it was over. 12 pirate vessels lay scattered across the combat zone, some destroyed, others crippled and drifting, their crews either dead or begging for mercy. The Relentless coasted to a stop beside the Harmonious Dawn, and Captain Martinez's image appeared on Vexlar's view screen. The human looked completely calm, as if he'd just finished a routine patrol rather than single-handedly dismantling an entire pirate fleet. "Commander Vexlar, I presume?" Martinez said with an easy smile. "Sorry we couldn't get here sooner. We were on the other side of the sector when your distress call came through." Vexlar tried to speak but found his translator malfunctioning from stress. He cleared his breathing passages and tried again. "Captain Martinez, how did you?" Martinez chuckled. "How did we win?" "Commander, we're from Earth. Our planet tried to kill us every single day for 3 million years. Predators, diseases, weather, volcanoes, asteroids, you name it, our world threw it at us. We learned to fight back or die. These pirates..." He gestured dismissively at the wreckage. "They're amateurs compared to what we grew up with." "Your maneuvers," Vexlar managed. "The G-forces." 10 GS sustained, 12 GS peak, Martinez said casually. "Uncomfortable, but well within human tolerance. Our gravity back home is 1.3 times what you've got on the Kthari homeworld. We're built for this." "And your weapons?" "Kinetic kill vehicles. Mass times velocity equals dead pirates. Einstein figured out that equation 400 years ago, and it still works great." Martinez's expression softened. "But seriously, Commander, we're glad we got here in time. Nobody attacks coalition ships on our watch. That's not how humanity does things." 3 days later, Commander Vexlar stood in the coalition embassy on Station Kepler 442, recounting his story to a room full of diplomats and military officials. Word had spread quickly through the station's networks: the humans had done it again. "They moved through the pirate formation like predators," Vexlar explained, his antennae quivering with remembered awe. 12 ships, and they didn't hesitate. Didn't slow down. They just attacked. As if 12-to-1 odds weren't even worth worrying about. Ambassador Tlora, a elderly Kthari with silver-tinged chitin, clicked thoughtfully. "The Council was concerned when Earth applied for coalition membership. A Deathworld species, they said. Too aggressive, too violent, too unpredictable. But Captain Martinez and his crew showed us something today." "What's that, Ambassador?" Vexlar asked. "That when you're in trouble, when the odds are impossible and death is certain, there's no one you'd rather have on your side than a human from Earth. They don't know how to quit. Their world made sure of that." Across the station, in a dozen cantinas and rest stops, the story was being told and retold. Enhanced with each retelling, certainly, but the core remained true: the Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. In his quarters aboard the Relentless, Captain Martinez recorded his log entry with characteristic modesty. Responded to distress call. Engaged hostile forces. Neutralized threat. Rescued coalition vessel with 0 casualties on our side or theirs. Just another day in the Terran Coalition Space Service. Martinez out. He leaned back, looking out at the stars beyond his viewport, and smiled. Earth had taught humanity to survive against impossible odds. Now, they'd take that lesson to the stars. And God help anyone who stood in their way.